Hi, thank you very much for joining my demo on how you can manage your PHP dependencies with GitLab Composer repository. I am Abubakar Siddiq Ango, a Technical Evangelism Program Manager at GitLab. In this demo, I'll be showing you how you can publish your GitLab project into the Composer repository registry that was recently introduced in GitLab 13.2, and also how you can embed use those as dependencies in your subsequent project. Yeah, I'll be showing you two things basically: how to publish your project into the registry and how you can use them. So I have two projects already created for the purpose of this demo. The first one is a composer package that I've already created, and the second project will consume the package I've created to show you how it works. So for the purpose of this demo, I'll be using the so API to get a quote of the day. It basically returns a quote and the author of the quote. So now, let me show you a walkthrough of my composer package project. Now, first, the most important aspect of any composer project is the composer.json file. This is where you specify everything about the package, what dependencies it has, the authors, the library, the licenses, and so on. So for this particular package, I'm requiring Guzzle so I can make requests over the internet or over the network. And I've also specified an auto load here that anytime the namespace quote is called, it should look in the source folder. Now, and I've specified the name of my package. This is also important, to Abubakar/quotes. That's my name /quotes. Now, for a quick walkthrough of how the package is built is, I simply have a single class called quote, and within this class, we can call the QOD method, which is question of the day, quote of the day method, and it returns to us after making an API call to the quote API. It returns to us a quote and the author of the quote. That's basically what the package does. Now, also, once you've created your composer.json file and everything is acceptable to you, the next thing is to create a GitLab-ci.yamu file. Now, there are two parts to my CI file here. The first one is my test stage. It's basically for me to run, do composer updates to get all the necessary packages that I need, all the necessary dependencies for my packages, and also see if everything is working fine. I have a test.php file which basically calls the method and post the response. So if there's any bug, I can see from here. But the most important part of my CI file is this publish section. Now, this is where it publishes my package to the GitLab inbuilt composer repository. Now, you don't necessarily need to wrap your hand around how this was constructed. GitLab already provides it as part of the GitLab CI template. For example, if I cut everything here and I come to the list of templates that we have listed here, and I enter composer, it's going to just display for me a predefined template of how you can publish your composer package to the inbuilt registry. You don't necessarily need to edit anything here. It already uses all the CI variables that is required to publish your package. Now, basically what it does here is it uses call to publish the package to the GitLab's API for the package composer endpoint. And normally you do this yourself, but it does everything for you easily. So now let me return my normal CI file. So like I said previously, basically what I'm doing here is to test my package first to make sure everything is working fine. Then the next thing is to publish. And I'm only publishing whenever a merge is done to master. Now, that's all that it needs to do here. So let's say, for example, I decide to run my pipeline so that it publishes my application. I'm running on master. Yep. Now what it will do here first is to run my test stage, which is simply composer update and php-file, run the test.php file, and that way I know, okay, everything is working fine. Then on the publish stage, it publishes my package to the composer repository registry within GitLab, and your packages will be published under, if you go to the menu of GitLab on the left, we have packages and registries. Then you go to package registry. So while we wait for this to run, let me show you quickly. Here you see we have different package repositories: Composer, Conan, Maven, npm, Nuggets, and PyPy. Then this is for Composer. This is the one that I just published, that it's publishing. Once this is a previously published one, once this CI is done, if I've made any new updates, it's going to update it. Now let's see what it looks like. Now this was published 2 hours ago, and it was published to the dev-master branch. You can decide to use a tag like version 1 or whatever it is, but here I'm choosing to use the master branch. Now it's showing me how to use it here. If you want to use this particular package in your composer registry, you need to copy this particular path into your registry, and you must mention into your composer.json file, and you must mention the package name. Now let's see the progress of our pipeline. It's done. So basically here, everything that it's done, it simply checks and run it does composer update, and it runs my test file, which basically displays a code and the author of the code. Now in the second project I have, which is the project that is consuming the package, I'll need to do a couple of things first. One, I need the authentication for my GitLab account. So you can create a personal access token from within settings and add it as a CI variable in your settings CI variable file. If you notice here, I have a variable named user and a token. Now in my project, what I do with both of these is, instead of having to hard code my composer authentication, the authentication I need for composer to be able to communicate with GitLab into auth.json, which is the normal one composer recognizes, I've decided to just use composer config instead. So this is the most advised method to use when you are using credentials for composer on production systems. So now to use my package here, I create a composer.json file specifying the repository I want to pull from, just like it was shown in the package details earlier, and require the package I want to use. And if you notice here, I specify the package name abubakar/quote. That's dependent on how you specify it in the when you're creating the package, and I specify what version I'm using, which is dev master. That's the name of the branch. Now once I've specified this, then I created a GitLab.ci YAML file. In my GitLab.ci YAML file, I do two things at first. The first one is to set up the authentication that Composer will use to authenticate with the GitLab Composer repository registry. Now, and you can do that by using composer config, specify what configuration is going to modify in composer's config, and specify that it should use gitlab.com as my the repository that it will be pulling from. And if you remember, in my CI variable, I specified a user and a token. This token will be your private access token that you've created from settings, especially when you are using 2FA. You cannot use your normal password. Now, the next thing I do here is to run Composer update. Once Composer has authenticated, updates my dependencies, and I proceed to test my application using index.php. Now, my index.php file is quite similar to the test.php file in my package, and all it does is to require the autoload, use the code class from the package, and display a code. And if there's an error, it will display an error. But basically, I want it to say so author once said, and so on. Now, that's basically what this PHP project is doing. Now, let's run this quickly. Let's make a little change in my project and say, instead of just saying author once said, let me add quote of the day, then colon, let me add some space here and concatenate. Then let me commit and say add quote of the day text. Then here let me merge straight to master for the purpose of time on this demo. Now the next thing is to commit to master. Now it's committed. The next thing, my pipeline has started running here. Let me go straight to my pipeline. It's just doing one thing, running a test to show you how everything works. Now, as at now, Composer repository is only supported on 13.2 for premium and ultimate customers, but there are already works being done for it to be available right from core, GitLab Open Core, which means for everyone. I think it's in 13.3, but very soon it will be available for everyone to use. Okay, it has already authenticated. As you can see here, it has already authenticated with gitlab.com, and it's updating my Composer repositories already. This makes life much easier for PHP developers, especially those working in organizations where they can't host the repositories publicly, and previously all you had to do was use the projects directly and specify how Composer authenticates with your projects within Composer, or have some custom mechanism. With this in GitLab, it makes it much more easier for you to have a dedicated dependency and even tag and version it as you want. Oh, awesome. Our job has finished running. As you can see here, the change we made is here. It says, quote of the day, Brent Brown once said, "You don't have to do all of it alone. We were never meant to." I hope you enjoyed this demo, and look forward to you using more of the Composer repository on GitLab. Thank you very much for joining this session. Bye-bye.